Hello everyone, welcome to this video tutorial where we will be looking at how to use the Zoom application to schedule a meeting ahead of time, as well as to become familiar with the different features that makes up the application. Now, I currently have the Open app on my computer system. However, before I was able to see this area, I had to sign up on the zoom.us website, and from there I filled out a number of information regarding my personal details, and following that I was now able to download the app on my computer system. Once that was completed, I received this icon to say that the application is currently on my computer system. And then this also allowed me to be able to sign in to the Zoom app, and from there I was greeted with the home screen. Currently on my home screen I have four icons followed by my upcoming events section. Now the emphasis firstly will be placed on the schedule. Once I select this icon, I receive a pop-up box, and in the pop-up box the first thing that is highlighted is the topic. However, I want to change the current topic, and normally you would put the topic based on what the meeting will be about. So for this one, I will say how to use Zoom. Okay, so once we have identified the topic of our meeting, we would then go ahead and select the date that we want the meeting to take place. So I will change the default that is there, which is today's date, and I will be selecting another date, let's say May 1st. Once that has been completed, I can also make adjustment to the time that the meeting will take place. So I will just change this to 1 duration. The default that comes with the application is 0 hour and 30 minutes. Reason being, I am currently using the basic plan, so this is like a free version of the app. I don't have a current license to extend a 40-minute. Normally it's 40 minutes for the first session, or the sessions rather, of the free or basic account. Now the next thing, they give us the option to tick or untick whether we want the meeting to be a recurring one. So if it is that this will be a continuous thing that we do daily or weekly with this set time and date adjusting, then we will select the recurring meeting for that. But in this case we will not be selecting that because this is a one-time thing. Following that, we have the area that has the meeting ID. It gives us the option to select whether we want to generate an ID, meaning that each time we do a schedule it will automatically change the meeting ID, and it gives us an option that they give us one set ID that will be used for all of our meetings. Along with our meeting ID, we get the option to decide if we want to also allow our meeting members to use a password or not. Currently, if I deselect this, then it moves the option to display a password, but for this case we will be selecting the password for the meeting. Next option area is the video. So this indicates whether the person who is hosting the meeting wants to have their video on when the meeting begins or off. In this case, it is currently selected default as off. The same for the participants, whether you want their videos to be on as soon as the meeting begin or off. Currently off is selected for both the host and the participants. Where audio is concerned, it has three options. So it has a telephone, computer, or a mixture of telephone and computer audio, and we will leave the default option there for now. The next thing is the calendar. So a calendar can be marked on your Outlook account or Google Calendar, or different areas where we would have a calendar stored. In the default, the Google Calendar is the one selected, and again currently I'm using a Google account, so the Google Calendar would be the option here. Where advanced option is concerned, that gives us additional information to tick various options. So in this case, the first one says if we want to enable a waiting room. This simply means that whenever the user sign in with the ID and the password, if it is that we want them to wait on us to let them in or not. And in this case, I don't want them to wait for me to let them in. I want them to be able to be inside the meeting as soon as the password and username was entered. So I deselect that option. Other options include to enable the participants to join before the host. The option is not selected. If it was selected, then if a participant wanted to or arrive at the meeting before the person who is hosting, then that person would not be able to log in if it was selected. However, if it is not highlighted, then anybody, whoever reaches the meeting first, can be logged in and will be able to wait there until the meeting begins. Another option could be to mute the participants upon their entry. I can select that, so as soon as they enter the room, there would not be any background noise, as everybody's computer system or smart gadgets will be muted upon entry. Another thing is to automatically record the meeting on your computer, so that could also be selected just for case where you would need reference and you forgot to do the recording. Then the computer would automatically record for you, and once the meeting has ended, then it would save that information. So we could now go ahead and select the schedule, which would now take us to the Google Calendar, where we would enter this information, or rather made the adjustments there. So I am currently signing in to the account, and before we are able to sign in, it asks for permission to allow them to view your calendar, and we made the allowance for them to view. Once you have permitted allowance, you can now see the calendar, as in the dates, and the date that we selected was May 1st. So on this section of the calendar, I can select the 1st, and then from there we will be able to see the meeting schedule. So currently the meeting is scheduled there, and then that indicates that it is already pre-completed for the persons to enter or join the meeting. Now I can now go ahead and close that, and then I am back on my screen for the Zoom application. So whenever the date for that meeting arrives, then the information could be found on the meetings here, and then it would show the date that the meeting is supposed to take place and whether you want to start or not. So going back to the home area, the next thing that I want to look at, let's say we want to start a new meeting. So I'm currently having a meeting today, for example. So I will now go ahead and select new, and as you can see, my camera option was not deselected. However, I placed a background image to replace my actual image that would be shown. So I can select the option here that says stop video, and automatically it would give you my profile image. The next thing that I want to look at is the manage participants. So for the manage participants section, I can tell the number of persons who are in the meeting. Currently I am the only one who is in the meeting, and it is in this section that you would see all of the persons who currently is in the meeting room. The section at the bottom here gives us indication whether we want to invite persons to join the meeting or not. So I am just going to make a selection where let's say we select the join meeting. So I am going to use another device to join this meeting, just to show you when the users log in. And okay, so just to skip over that a little, the invite, we could invite the persons to the meeting. We can also make the selection to mute all of our users, and it says to allow participants to unmute themselves. You can decide if you allow that or not based on the tick that is here, and then we select yes. Another option, from you are able to mute all, you should also be able to unmute all the persons. Again, once I select that, it tells us that all participants were unmuted. To the right, extreme right here, we have 3 dots. So once selected, we have a variety of options showing up. The first one says to mute participants upon entry, so we could again select that, and once each person enters the room, then their computer system is automatically muted. Next option is to allow participants to unmute. You can select or deselect based on your preference. The same for them to rename themselves. You can also decide to play a little music, that default music that comes with the application upon entry and exit to the video call. And another option to enable waiting room. So again, I want to deselect this, so when the users come, they automatically sign in, they don't have to wait. And then the last option is to lock the meeting. This means that once I select this, whoever is not in the meeting is currently locked out and will not be able to join the meeting that is currently in session. Now that was for the managing of participants. Where the chat is concerned, once I click on that, as you can see, my participants is currently open, still open, and below that is the chat area. So the chat area just allows message to be sent in the room for persons to see, as well as file. So if I wanted to add a file, before I move to any chat, if I wanted to add a file for everyone to see, then the to everyone would be selected, and then file, I select where I'm collecting the file. Let's say it's my computer and it's on my desktop, so I select this random file and automatically it is uploaded so that everyone in the meeting is able to access that file. So as you can see, it says it was successfully sent. So that's one option. Message, I can say hi and then it can go to everyone that is in the meeting, and as you can see, it was sent. Next option, right to the far right for more options, the 3 dots. Once we select that, it gives us option as to say how our chat can be done. So it can say participant can chat with no one, the host only, everyone publicly or privately. So again, it is up to the host to decide how is it that the participants will be able to communicate with each other. So I am going to just remove the chat from there, as well as the participants. So once I click on those, they are currently removed. And next option is to decide to share your screen. So once the share screen is selected, as you can see, there is currently the option for share screen, meaning that I am able to show you everything, every single thing that I do on my computer system. Another thing, I could also decide on a particular item that I want to share. So I close that and I reopen, and currently I did not have my PowerPoint open, but now it is open, so it is now in the share screen. So if I double tap on this PowerPoint, then the user can now see my PowerPoint and can go along as to discussions that are taking place regarding this PowerPoint. Another thing, you can also share if you have your browser open and you want to share a snippet of a YouTube or so forth, then you could also share that screen as well. So your share screen is not limited to just one area. Anything that you want to share with your users, you can share. And as you can see, I close the X, so it says my share screen has stopped because I have clicked out of that. And for the share screen option, if you observe, if I double click on my screen, you can be able to see everything that I'm also doing on this screen. For the share screen, you realize that once I'm sharing the screen, then the screen is minimized and can be located at the top. So once I stop sharing, then this automatically goes back to the bottom area and allow the app to show in the way that it began in the first place. We have the option to pause sharing, meaning that once I select pause, your user cannot see anything on or differently on your screen until you either resume or give them a new share. So if I select resume, then they will be able to see everything that I am doing on the screen. The annotate allows us to make some let's say we want to highlight some areas for our viewers to see. So let's say use a draw, and in this case I want to use a sentence. Now if I was showing the students where our users where they should go to join, I could easily draw the circle around that section and tell them that this is the area that they can go and join the meeting. So there are different options that you can use along the way. If I wanted to remove that diagram, then I use the eraser and make the changes there. If I wanted to enter text, then I could just enter text, hi, how are you? That is another way. So these are ways just to make reference throughout whatever it is that you're sharing with your viewers. Now if I select the stop here, then our screen goes back to the original that we had in the first place on screen. There is a arrow beside the share screen, so once I select that, it gives us how is it that we want to share our screen with our participants, whether we want to share one participant can share at a time, or we can allow more than one participants to share the screen. Another option is to record the meeting, and this record is normally done in the context of audio. So it does not record what is showing on screen, but really the audio of the meeting. So once I deselect that, then the recording is completed. As you can see, they convert to MP4 when the meeting ends. So that converts the meeting in the audio format and not the visual aspect. Reactions can give persons thumbs up or whatever, and that's just, let's say you ask a question and they did right and you want to say very good, and you just give them one of these emojis, whether a clap or a thumbs up, to just, you know, give them a booster in regards to that. Over the left hand section we have our mutes for the audio, as well as to start a video. So if in the case we want to mute our own audio to allow somebody else to speak, then we could select that. For the arrow there, we could select the different locations where we want our sounds to come from or to test audio. But in this case, we wouldn't be making adjustment to any of these. These are not important for our purpose. The video, we can also decide to put on a video or to remove the video. And again, options similar to the audio. It has to take from the webcam, or we can make a virtual background, which I had earlier with the grass over my image. Security is just indicating how can you secure your meeting, or prevent unauthorized activities to take place in the meeting. So for this option, you can lock your meeting as a security measure, lock out persons who are not currently in, or we can enable a waiting room to decide who we are letting in and who will not be allowed to enter. For the participants, we can share our screen and we decide which part of the screen we want to share. The chat can be private or public for everyone, and persons privileged to rename themselves or not. So all of this is up to the person who is hosting the meeting. And basically this wraps up the main aspects of the Zoom application in regards to how we utilize the different features. Now, if we wanted to end the meeting, we could now go ahead and select the option that says end meeting, and it gives us the option to leave the meeting itself, or we end it for everyone who is there. And normally it is more feasible to end it for everyone, based on if you're the host, you want to close out all of that off of your system. So if I select end meeting for all, then automatically the meeting ends, and it tells us that it is converting our meeting and it congratulates us. Automatically again, the folder opens up to tells us or show us where our recordings were stored. Meetings, the section I showed earlier where we can see upcoming meetings. If we want, we have the option here that says upcoming or recorded. If I click on recorded, then it will show us meetings that we had before that were previously recorded. Contacts would indicate persons who we have in our listing that we could ask to join the meeting, etc. So those are the main aspects of the application, and it's very easy to use once you get around it and be familiar with the different parts that makes it up. And I do hope that it will be user friendly for those who are not normally tech savvy and all of those things. I thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I do hope that you learned how to use a Zoom application and that it will make life easier for you as to how you distribute content and so forth. Thank you very much for watching.